All right, we have just come back here to the White House. It sounds to me like some questions are going to be asked here. Let's take a listen.
President Obama, could you confirm whether the blind Chinese dissident Chen Guangzheng is under U.S. protection in Beijing? How do you foresee that situation being resolved? Would the United States grant him asylum if he asked for it? And Prime Minister Noda, how likely do you think it is that North Korea will carry out a third nuclear test? How would Japan respond to such a test, and what would you like the U.S. to do to respond?
Obviously, I'm aware of the press reports on the situation in China, but I'm not going to make a statement on the issue. What I would like to emphasize is that every time we meet with China, the issue of human rights comes up. It is our belief that not only is that the right thing to do because it comports with our principles and our belief in freedom and human rights, but also because we actually think China will be stronger as it opens up and liberalizes its own system. We want China to be strong and we want it to be prosperous. And we're very pleased with all the areas of cooperation that we've been able to engage in. But we also believe that that relationship will be that much stronger and China will be that much more prosperous and strong as you see improvements on human rights issues in that country. I know it wasn't directed to me, but I'll just make a quick statement around North Korea. This was a topic of extensive discussion between myself and Prime Minister Noda. Our consultation throughout the failed missile launch was, I think, reflective of how important our alliance is, not just to our two countries, but to the region as a whole. And what I've tried to do since I came into office to make sure that North Koreans understand that the old pattern of provocation that then gets attention and somehow insists on the world purchasing good behavior from them, that pattern is broken. And what we've said is that the more you engage in provocative acts, the more isolated you will become. The stronger sanctions will be in place, the more isolated you will be diplomatically, politically, and commercially. And so although we can't anticipate, and I don't want to hypothesize on what might happen in the coming months, I think Pyongyang is very clear that the United States, Japan, South Korea, other countries in the region are unified in insisting that it abide by its responsibilities, abide by international norms, and that they will not be able to purchase anything from further provocative acts.
With regard to North Korea, between myself and President Obama earlier, with regard to the so-called launch of satellite, the missile launch, we shared the view that it undermined the efforts of the various countries concerned to achieve resolution through dialogue. Now, in the latest round of missile launch, they also conducted a nuclear test, which means that there is a great possibility they will conduct a nuclear test. And I believe the international community as a whole together will need to call for restraint on the part of DPRK. And more specifically, I believe the measures incorporated in the recent UN Security Council chairman's statement need to be complied with. And among Japan, the U.S. and Korea, as well as China and Russia, we need to communicate with each other fully and also stress that China's role continues to be very important and cooperate with China while also maintain close coordination with the United States. And we shared this view with President Obama. And let me ask Mr. Imaichi of TBS from Japan to ask a question. Imaichi of TBS.
So you heard basically two people in the room get to ask questions, and really what we were listening for beyond both of these gentlemen really highlighting the close friendship, the close relations between these two nations, Japan and the United States. Really, a lot of people wanted to know about this Chinese dissident, what the president would say about this man, Cheng Wan-cheng, who is blind, an activist, an escaped house arrest. And so essentially the president didn't say very much. He said that he was aware of the reports with regard to this particular Chinese dissident, but said he wasn't going to make a statement on the issue, but did say that every time we meet with China, the issue of human rights comes up. So there you have the president on the record, not really saying a whole lot with regard to that particular story, though we're going to have much more on this story, the significance coming up here as we check in with our correspondent at the State Department, and also addressing the issue there a moment ago about the failed rocket launch out of North Korea. Basically, if they continue provocative actions, the sanctions will get worse in North Korea. Got a lot more for you in the next, hour and a half here. Take a look at this. I want to take you back to the White House. I've been told the president has just been asked about the death of Osama bin Laden 1 year ago. Let's listen in.
And if you think from an international perspective, the U.S. is playing it right in marking this anniversary, or if you think you might advise against excessive celebration.
Well, let me make a couple of points. First of all, Christy, I hardly think that you've seen any excessive celebration taking place here. I think that the American people, rightly remember what we as a country accomplished in bringing to justice somebody who killed over 3,000 of our citizens. And it's a mark of the excellence of our intelligence teams and our military teams, a political process that worked. And I think for us to use that time for some reflection, to give thanks to those who participated, is entirely appropriate, and that's what's been taking place. As far as my personal role and what other folks would do, I just recommend that everybody take a look at people's previous statements in terms of whether they thought it was appropriate to go into Pakistan and take out bin Laden. I assume that people meant what they said when they said it. That's been at least my practice. I said that I'd go after bin Laden if we had a clear shot at him, and I did. If there are others who have said one thing and now suggest they do something else, then I'd go ahead and let them explain it.
President Obama has been standing at the very forefront in the fight against terrorism, and I hold him in very high regard for that. Now, although bin Laden has been killed, terrorism has not been rooted out, and I think continued efforts will be needed in cooperation with the United States. We also would like to continue with our efforts against terrorism. I think the forms of terrorism are becoming very diverse, amongst them cyber terrorism, for example. And this time between Japan and the United States, not just in the cyber in space and ocean, but we also decided to cooperate in cyber security as well. So inclusive of all of these, Japan and the United States shall work together to root out terrorism of all sorts. Let me call on Takatsuka-san of the Mainichi Shimbun. I'm in Takatsuka with Mainichi Shimbun newspaper, and I would like to ask a question for Prime Minister Noda and President Obama. There is no direct reference to China in this joint statement. What sort of exchange of views did you have on China in the context of working for stability in the Asia-Pacific, connected with their advances in the oceans and also their military buildup. I wonder what sort of interlocution you had on the subject. Let me answer first. As you correctly pointed out, the shared vision does not refer to any specific country, but we recognize China as a major partner in the region. And in our exchange of views, both of us, in fact, confirmed that viewpoint. China's development is an opportunity for the international community, for Japan, and for the Asia-Pacific. Now, I explained in the meeting to President Obama that when I visited China last December, I broached to the Chinese leaders my 6-point initiative, including confidence building and cooperation in the East China Sea, in order to further advance our mutually beneficial relationship based on common strategic interests, and that I'll work steadily to implement this. I also told to the President that I wish to realize a strategic dialogue among Japan, U.S., and China. Now, EAS, last year we were the view that was a success. And of course, ASEAN countries also participate in discussions that we need to seek a rules-based response or behavior from the Chinese, and we had these exchange of views.
I think that I've said in the past and firmly believe that we welcome a peacefully rising China, and we have developed a very important strategic and economic dialogue with China. We think what they've accomplished in terms of lifting millions of people out of poverty is good for its own sake, and it's also potentially good for the world and for the region. As Prime Minister Noda and I noted, we do believe that as China continues to grow, as its influence continues to expand, that it has to be a strong partner in abiding by international rules and norms. Whether those are economic norms, like respecting intellectual property, whether these are norms of dispute resolution, so in maritime disputes, ensuring that small countries and large countries are both respected in international fora in resolving these issues, that across the board, we want China to be a partner with us in a set of international rules and norms that everybody follows. And I think as China makes that transition from a developing country into a major power, that it will see that over the long term it is in its interest as well to abide by these rules and norms. And so all of our actions are not designed to in any way contain China, but they are designed to ensure that they are part of a broader international community in which rules, norms are respected, in which all countries can prosper and succeed. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
And there they go again, the Prime Minister of Japan and President Obama. I just want to take you back to one point, and it was a name that the President didn't actually mention specifically, but he was alluding to Mitt Romney. This all goes back to the question one of the reporters asked about marking the death of Osama bin Laden. We all know it was 1 year ago, and the President specifically said, there was a re-election campaign ad that has just recently come out essentially touting his decision to ultimately take out Osama bin Laden a year ago. And at the end of this particular ad, it suggests Romney perhaps might not have made that same decision. In fact, Romney in the past has questioned the value and the billions of dollars of value of taking out bin Laden. And so actually today some news was made as Governor Romney is out in New Hampshire. He was asked on the rope line about bin Laden specifically, and he was asked, would you have made that same decision decision. And his answer now was, of course, even, and I'm paraphrasing, even President Jimmy Carter would have done the same thing. So that was a little bit of news, as we're hearing now the words from Mitt Romney, and also President Obama addressing it there and sort of questioning perhaps Mitt Romney's decision had he been the commander-in-chief at that particular time. We're going to talk a little bit more about Mitt Romney, his whereabouts today in New Hampshire, who is alongside the governor in just a couple minutes with Jim Acosta. We will take a quick break. Be right back.